Hello, Psych 150. This is our week 3 video, January the 24th through January the 30th. This week we're covering chapter 2, which is the role of biology in psychology. Now, I'll be honest, this chapter can be a little overwhelming for some people. It's a lot of information, especially if you haven't had a good background in biology. So take your time, go through it carefully, and as always, if you find that you have any questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out. You're going to read chapter 2 in your textbook and make sure that you watch the audio PowerPoint. We do have quite a few supplemental materials that I'll go through as we go through the folder. Here's your audio PowerPoint. It's a long one. There's a lot of information. Like I said, it's a good idea to this week read your chapter first and then go through the audio PowerPoint. There is a lot of information that is not contained in your textbook in this audio PowerPoint. Since it is a little bit longer, I recommend that you take it in smaller chunks. Make sure you're taking good notes on that audio PowerPoint as usual. There's one handout that concerns neurotransmitters and parts of a neuron that I've posted here to help you out. But I really want to draw your attention to the videos and web links. There's quite a few items in this folder. Now, in this chapter, we're talking about the brain, we're talking about neurons, neurotransmission, and really the neurochemical system of your brain. So while all of these videos aren't required, I've posted them here, as I always do, as a supplement to give you a little bit more understanding, because some people need a visual to go along with reading or even hearing about the information. This first one is optional. It's a little bit of a visual on how neurons communicate with neurotransmission. This is a crash course that I usually like to put, again, talking about neurons and neurotransmission. This third one is a really interesting story. In this chapter, we talk about brain plasticity, how one part of the brain that might be damaged can lose function, but a different part of the brain that is working can take over for that part of the brain that's been damaged. This video is a true story about a little girl named Jody who has a rare genetic disorder called Rasmussen syndrome, and she's having these horrific seizures that have the potential to be fatal for her. So what they do is they do a hemispherectomy on her brain and literally remove half of her cerebral cortex. And in removing half of her brain, they see how the other half that's left takes over the function of that part that they removed. This next one is it's called Mouse Party. It is a virtual link that's kind of fun. It's optional as well, but it really gives you a good idea of how different recreational drugs, things like marijuana, alcohol, cocaine, ecstasy, heroin, how all these different recreational drugs affect the neurotransmission in your brain. It's really cute. There are these little animated mice, and it tells you about what is going on in different parts of the brain. And then the last two here are required watching. So make sure you're watching these two videos because we will reference them several times in the semester. I will warn you, they're both a little bit graphic. They are the unfixed brain and the unfixed spinal cord. They're a little bit graphic because they're looking at the brain and the spinal cord that have been recently harvested from a body. So someone literally just died and they're taking the brain and the spinal cord out. They look a lot different. The main reason that we do this is so that you can see how fragile and delicate these parts of your body are. Usually when we see the brain, it's been already fixed in formalin to make it a little bit harder so that we can, slice it up and look at different parts. Now, the vocabulary in these videos is really not meant for a Psych 150 class. It's a little bit over our level. We're not looking at it for the vocabulary. I just want you to get an idea of what these parts of your brain and spinal cord look like. Let's go back to our folder. I've included the flashcards, like I've said. This is also an optional activity if you want some practice in labeling the brain. Again, completely optional. You don't have to do it if you don't want, but if it's there if you want a little bit more practice. And then your week 3 quiz, as usual. Remember that it is a quiz grade as well as your attendance activity for the week. So if you don't do the quiz, you get a 0 and you're counted absent. Have a great week. If you need anything, please reach out and let me know.